Welcome everyone to the California Water Jobs and Certs Meetup. In the chat, please put your name and the city where you're watching from, and let's see who's here. My name is Shannon Simmers, and I am the Senior Environmental Compliance Inspector for the City of Riverside. I've been in the water sector for 12 years. I started out as a wastewater operator in training. With me to talk about water careers are some of the outstanding women in our water profession.
Lenai Hunter, Senior Regulatory Compliance Analyst with Elsinore Valley Municipal Water District.
Haley Garland, Senior Engineering Inspector with Elsinore Valley Municipal Water District.
Tonya Waters, Senior Construction Inspector with Jurupa Community Services District.
Such a nice voice. Welcome, and let's get started. As a woman in a leadership role, being present isn't always the hardest part. Sometimes it's just showing up. Tonya, can you let us know what type of chores that you needed to do this morning before coming to the interview? For example, this morning I had to clean my kitchen, my bathroom, and mop and sweep the floors to get ready for tonight.
Well, me this morning, since in my family we are caretakers of our 93-year-old mother, we pack our lives up and we live at our house for a week at a time. So this morning I had the pleasure of changing a bed, setting all the laundry in the wash, making breakfast, giving my mother a bath, and then getting myself ready as well.
Wow, that's a busy morning. Mine was too. Lenai, what did you forget to bring or do before work recently?
So recently we attended a competition for hydrant hysteria for building a hydrant. And we were supposed to bring our work shirts, which I have one that, fits really nicely, but I forgot my shirt. So I had to show up to the hydrant competition in this enormous shirt that was almost down to my knees, and I'm trying to tuck it in and it's coming out. It was, yeah.
Well, did you guys win?
We did.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
So maybe it was your lucky shirt.
Well, I'm not going to wear it to the next one. I'm going to try to wear this to the next one.
Haley, if we were watching you this morning, what would we find funny, or what would we have seen that was funny?
Well, besides my mismatched pajamas, trying to blow dry my hair, sweating, hot, and trying to get your hair dry while it's also getting wet from sweating so much. It's wonderful. It's a good show.
That sounds familiar. So just to let you guys know, today I forgot my uniform for work. So no steel-toed boots. I hope my boss didn't hear that.
Stay in the car.
Yes. And then if you were to be watching me this morning, you would have saw me spraying my hair with temporary hair dye and then trying to wipe it off my face so that I can put my makeup on. So yeah, that was my morning.
Nice.
And so going on to background and career path, Lenai, Haley, and Tonya, would each of you please talk about your current title and how does your job relate to the water world? We'll start with you, Lenai.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. So I am a Senior Regulatory Compliance Analyst, and essentially what my job is I'm preparing and submitting reports to various regulatory agencies for water, wastewater, biosolids, air quality management, and hazardous waste and hazardous materials storage. I'm also performing routine compliance audits and inspections, both internally myself and then also with regulators when they come to inspect our facilities. I'm also I manage our hazardous waste, hazardous materials storage program. Yeah, we can cut out the part where I messed up. And then I also am the project manager for our lead service line inventory project, and I was the project manager for our local hazard mitigation plan.
Wow, that's all in one work week, right?
Yeah, right? Well, no, every work week changes, right? So you try to fit the core stuff in, and then there's a million other things that pop up throughout the week.
And Haley, what about you?
I'm a Senior Engineering Inspector for the district, and my job is to ensure that contractors and developers, and I'm primarily on the private development side, so housing tracts, commercial facilities, sometimes single-family residents, but we ensure that the installation of the materials are per district standard, and then it prolongs the life of the infrastructure.
Oh, that's very important. And how about you, Tonya?
I am a Senior Construction Inspector. I pretty much do the same thing like you. Yeah. We are from curb to curb, everything within the street, sewer, water. Recently, we have street lights now, so that's been a little different. My primary job is I do plan check. I do submittal review to get the contractor or developer ready to do the project. We do go through the submittals. The plans, I work with a team of inspectors from different agencies that are overseeing some of our projects in the area, just to make sure everybody is still in compliance. I have the opportunity to do a lot of the releases for new development, new construction, so that's pretty awesome. You get to work with the cities and other officials on whatever needs to do to get everybody in compliance, to get them released, and that's always nice to see new things happening. But then I also still involved in construction, so I'm doing construction projects and just a lot going on in Jurupa. So really busy place.
That is a growing place,
Yes.
and I also do plan checks, regulatory reporting, and my background a little bit of program management, and so plan checks are fun. I think I did 5 last night before I left,
Yes,
so
very
that I
fun.
wouldn't have them to do today because I'm here visiting with you. Awesome. And then Tonya, what sparked your interest to pursue your current role? It seems like such an outside of the box role for a woman.
Very out of the box. Honestly, I had a sister that worked for the county of San Bernardino, and I had the opportunity to take her to work a couple mornings, and there was a lady in the back. She had about 10 men around her. She's telling everybody what to do. I'm like, what does she do? She was the building official.
Oh my gosh.
She was an electrician by trade, an engineer. She's like, I'm teaching classes at San Bernardino Valley College. Come join me. First semester, I took one class, and I asked a bunch of questions. Somebody stood up and said, if you stop asking questions, we'll answer everything you want after class. Let everybody go home. Because, I wasn't working, and everybody was working. They had a full day, and I'm holding class up. Come to find out, it was Mike Willigorski, worked at RMA, and he took me on as a soils tech, and that's how I started in the business.
Oh, that's an interesting story. I as well had a professor in college who became instrumental in my career as a wastewater operator. He was Gary Valadeo. Hopefully he's hearing this or seeing this. And as the plant manager in the city of Riverside, he coerced me to come over there and work for free as an operator in training. So that did start me in my career as in water as well.
Awesome.
And Lenai, what path did you follow that provided you the necessary skills and experience for your current position?
So I actually started in the industry as a temp. I was in the operations department as an operations dispatch specialist, which is basically if somebody has like a leak or they're out of water, something not related to like your bill, you would call in for that. So that's what I started as. I knew nothing about the industry, but then I started gaining certifications to learn more about the industry. I was finishing up my degree, so I kind of switched gears when I started in the industry in my degree because I was really, really passionate about it once I started in it. And then I got I promoted into a regulatory compliance position and then promoted again to where I'm at today, Senior Regulatory Compliance Analyst.
Wow, that's an exciting path. So, Tonya, can you tell me what woman is the biggest woman of influence as you have gone on your leadership path? For example, I always consider Oprah Winfrey is my biggest woman of influence, being a young mom at home with my child and watching her show, and just some of the things that she had said in some of her shows have stuck with me throughout the years. And this person could be somebody you know or that you don't know. Who would you say it is?
I would have to say it's my mother. Just being able to, from a perspective of not so much being her little girl anymore, I'm an adult woman, so we're able to have these conversations that are so interesting to see how her life has changed. I mean, she was born in 1930, wow. And she raised 7 kids by herself once her husband died. And just the strength that she has. I mean, just yesterday, my niece was there while I was at work, and she sent me a video of my mother with her walker and a weed eater in the backyard because she wants to clear a patch to start planting her flowers and her vegetables. And I'm like, if only I have half of that at that age, then I'm good.
What a blessed life.
Absolutely.
That is wonderful.
Absolutely.
Lenai, what is your most memorable accomplishment?
My most memorable accomplishment is getting my master's degree in environmental science.
Awesome.
I mentioned I kind of pivot my education when I started in the industry, and so that was part of that pivot. And that was a lot of work because I have 2 kids and a husband and a whole life, right, outside of work. Then I had to balance, going to school after work and being there till late, then coming home to tuck in my kids at night. And so it was definitely a process, but I am very proud of myself for accomplishing that.
That is a wonderful accomplishment. I could probably say getting my wastewater operator certification, grade 2, was really challenging and a big accomplishment because I had to work free for those 1,800 hours, go to school, take care of a family, and my home. So yeah, I totally see what you're saying there. Haley, can you let us know what goal you're currently working on?
Currently, I'm in the middle of pursuing an engineering degree. Like Lenai, I actually have a criminal justice degree. But when I got into the district, it obviously pivoted. And after COVID hit, everything went online. So now I'm like, why not go back to school? There's all these online classes. So nights, weekends, start working on that degree. And then this year, I'm going to also be pursuing the CCM, the construction or certified construction manager certificate.
Wow.
So that'll be the next one. A little quicker to obtain than a engineering license, but I have a long plan. I got a long time here, so
I love it.
Those will definitely keep moving you forward in your path. I also am going to be working on some certifications myself through CWA. My goal is to have all the certifications. So I think laboratory is what I'll be working on next. So yeah, just
awesome.
study.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Tonya, what are some of the biggest challenges you have faced in your career, and how did you overcome them?
That's kind of difficult for me because I can't say that I've had many challenges that I didn't expect. As a woman, there's certain things we're going to expect anyway. And it's just dealing with everyday life with your head up, your integrity in check, and you just keep moving. I do my best not to let that kind of stuff affect me because it's there. I can't do anything about it. It's there.
So you'd say maybe your challenges is just getting through those challenges with your head up, smile on your face.
Absolutely.
And a good disposition. That's wonderful.
Because as women, we can get emotional and it can turn into something different.
Don't get me started.
And over a certain age, menopause, emotions get a little different, and it's, life changes as we get older. So
that's funny. I there's not a time too far that goes by that I don't go back into my boss's office the next day and say, okay, so I know I was a little excited yesterday, but did you understand what I was saying? So yeah, I do agree, women's emotions, and everyone has them, but I find myself doing the same thing at times. So going on with Lenai and Haley, how do each of you feel the industry has changed to become more inclusive of diversity, especially for women in the field?
I feel the industry has changed from where it was primarily men in the field, right? We are seeing women in the field, but we're not there yet. We have so much further to go. We need to continue in a path where we are encouraging women to be in these positions and giving them the support that they need to be in these positions, because I don't know if every agency, every entity, every person is quite there yet.
And Haley, did you have any comment on that?
I'm a prime example of that encouragement from obvious supervisors and managers, because I was in an administrative role and I'd never been out in the field before, but I had learned so much about the inspection process at the district because I was primarily over the construction side for admin support. And a position came up for inspector, and just our daily meetings with inspectors and reviewing plans, like my manager suggested, Haley, why don't you apply for the inspector position? And I was laughing. I was like, are you crazy? Me out there in the construction? I've never been out there, but that just got the wheels turning. And I applied, got the job, and now that I'm out here, it's like, this job was made for me. So, and then it just opens up so many more options because, now I'm going for an engineering degree, CCM. So
And when she got that job, she beat out all the men that applied and interviewed as well. And not everybody was happy about that, those guys, right? Like, they were pretty upset about that. But she turned out to be amazing in her position. And the district is so happy that they chose her over all of them because she is continuing to progress in her career and really fantastic.
And like Tonya was saying, I mean, knowing that I'm going up against men or going out into the field with all men.
Yep.
I'm the only one out there, and I have to correct them or guide them through their construction. But holding your head up and just facing it head on really makes it a lot easier. And then
It does.
It doesn't. I mean, you can always have those challenges with the woman in water or being the only woman out there. But if you face it head on, then it's a little easier to get through. And then people start to realize that you're not just a woman, you're a construction inspector, and you know what you're doing.
You're just a person who has the same skills and ability that they have.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Agreed. So you kind of touched a little bit on my next question, which was going to be directed to you, Haley, which was talking about
Skipping ahead.
Overachiever.
just thinking back through your career and talking about those situations that you faced that were intimidating or overwhelming, and then afterwards, when you got on the other side, you realized it's not really that bad.
Yeah.
And so that was a great example of an answer to that question. I myself, I faced that too coming into wastewater. And there were people who were in my training sphere of influence that really didn't want to give me the time of day. And did not encourage me to, didn't really feel like I was going to pass my grade 2. You should just take your grade 1 and you should do this, and don't you make enough money? And, my response to that is, would you want someone to say that to your daughter?
Never.
That what you have accomplished already is enough. And it's not. We should be able to pursue what it is that we're interested in, regardless of someone else's view on our capabilities. And then we, in turn, have to then show up more than they do, because we have to prove ourselves on top of knowing and being able to do what they do.
Absolutely.
Do you ladies have any example, Tonya or Lenai, any examples of where you might have been a little bit afraid and then felt like it wasn't so bad after all?
I'm just not afraid. I don't know if it's...
I need you. I need you in my
what
life.
is up with me,
I need
but
to draw from that. Yeah.
I'm just not
That's
scared.
empowering. That's empowering.
Yeah.
And I think that's a testament to your adversity and how you've been able to propel yourself in this world of water, that has been predominantly a man's career over these decades, and breaking through that threshold. So being a caretaker and a full-time employee, I sometimes find it difficult to maintain a work-life balance during the week. So everything I'm need to do at home just gets pushed to the weekend, including my self-care with my chipped nails and eyebrows. And by Monday, after all the things I've had to do during the week and then catching up on the weekend, I'm tired on Monday. So I really don't even feel rested. Tonya, do you have any ideas that you can give us on how you work that? 'Cause being with the caretaker with your mom, I feel like you really identify with that. What are the kind of tips, tricks, or things that you do to kind of get it all in when you're stretched that thin?
It's important that you take a few minutes just for yourself, because at work, you have to maintain a certain level at work. You have to handle all your responsibilities and tasks. But then when you get to the house, you still got stuff to do. And you can't allow that to pile up, because then that'll just create more problems the next day. I just try to do things as they come, but my way to relax is get my nails done, get my hair done. That just makes me feel
fabulous.
good.
You
Well,
look
thank
great.
you.
So I totally agree. It's hard to find that time.
It is.
And sometimes we let it kind of pile up, and then I just go out for a full weekend beauty treatment because it's needed. Haley, when recalling the people in your life that you have regarded as a role model or mentor, what type of qualities did they possess, which you embodied, that have helped you as a woman on the path to a leadership role?
I have to go say my mom. She's a very strong, independent woman, very strong and slightly stubborn. Sorry, Mom. But I do get that from her a lot. Luckily, I got my patience from my dad. But just being strong and just wanting to achieve more. Like you were saying how some people were like, oh, no, you're good at a grade 1. But no, I'm not good at a grade 1. I could do more. I know I could do more. And you can always, you might Lenai got a master's, but she's going to go out and get more certifications and continue growing her career, because that's never the end. You can just keep going. And that's what my mom gave me, is my drive. And there's so much out there, and I want to do 10 different things, and it just depends on what your interest and what direction it pulls you in.
And sometimes things just change
Yeah.
out of nowhere, right?
Yeah. Or you learn a new opportunity, or maybe, I won't end up being an inspector forever. Who knows what's next? So, but I'm always open to the opportunities to excel.
It sounds like you have some amazing mothers.
Yeah.
So, Lenai, if you had all of the decision-making power and resources at your disposal, what types of things would you look to change or implement to promote inclusion in the workplace? I know you talked a little bit about it earlier,
Yes.
but what if you were the person making those decisions?
I think one key thing that I feel would really help to promote inclusion and diversity within the industry is having more women in leadership positions. I think as a woman myself, when I am in a agency or an entity and I can look up and see a woman in those leadership positions, it lets me know it's possible.
Yeah.
It lets me know that, even though I'm not scared to break through a glass ceiling, I don't have to be the one to do it. Women are already there. They're making it happen. And there's a spot for us there at the top. And I think that that's really important because you don't see that everywhere. But I really would like to see more of that.
Any of you ladies have a comment on that?
I agree with Lenai, and actually in my department, we're on the development side, and we are primarily women right now. So it's nice and actually fun to see in like a pre-construction meeting. We do it virtually. It's all women, and then the contractors and developers come in, they're men, and it's like, hi guys, we're going to tell you what you're going to do for this project, and here are our rules.
And there's not much getting by us. That's
No.
I think that's
Nothing
why
gets
it's
by us.
We
intimidating.
make better inspectors.
Yes.
I really feel like
I
that.
believe that too.
Because we're always trying, to prove ourselves. I think we're
Yes.
more on top of our game, and then we're also learning new things because we're not. Well, for myself, I'm not from construction, so I am constantly watching, asking questions. What are you doing with that? Why are we doing it this way? And so I'm constantly on them. And then sometimes you'll meet some of the other seasoned inspectors, and it's like, are you even watching what they're doing?
Right?
Yeah. So complacency is definitely something that we don't have time for.
No.
No.
And that can't be in our world because we've got to keep moving forward, or we may be viewed as someone that might be incompetent.
Yes. It's much easier for us to be viewed as that than
Yes.
a man that would be doing the same thing.
Absolutely.
Agreed. So getting to something more personal, Lenai, let's talk about what would be your perfect Zen moment. For example, to take you and remove you, redirect you from your day. Mine is when I talk to my mom or my son every day. So my mom and my son don't live close by. My son lives in Washington. My mom lives in Fallbrook area. So when I talk to them, I stop focusing on work and all the monotony, and I focus on them. What would you say is your Zen moment?
I would say if I have just a small span of time, but ideally a larger span of time to relax and kind of come back down to earth and refocus on what's important, it's getting outside. I think being outside, whether it's hiking or camping or even just walking outside for a little bit, kind of helps to like recenter me, and then the problems don't seem so big anymore. And then that, or after a particularly stressful day, I go to the gym, and not everybody does, but it is so helpful because you do feel so much better once you do.
I always want to.
I start my day at the gym because that's kind of my kickstart to the day, and like I walk in the office, I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Where I prefer sleeping in the morning and then working out after work.
How about you, Tonya? What do you like to do for your Zen?
I like to garden. I just like to be outside,
Yeah.
I just like to be outside, digging in the flower beds, planting
Getting your
something.
hands dirty. Haley, you said something when we were getting ready for this meeting, when you were looking to change career paths, and you were in the office primarily your career, and your comment was, "I don't know if I can do that. I don't know how to be outside."
I've never been outside before. Out of these walls.
Yeah, so outside is always beautiful. It always brings me back to looking at my surroundings and seeing what beauty we have around us. Even I'll be in the parking lot, like, look at the clouds, aren't they so pretty? And everyone's like,
Oh, when the
"Okay,
weather's nice, we're like,
There goes Shannon again.
bring her back over here."
she's supposed to be in a meeting.
I'm sorry, I'm picking flowers. Yeah, and then so Tonya, let us know, what would you do if you just had a free day? What would you be doing that day?
Spa.
Ooh. This is my girl right here. I got the-
I just like to relax. I figure work hard,
Yes.
relax even
Relax
harder.
hard. Work hard, relax hard. Oh, yes. Oh, that would be awesome. I think when I wrote this question, sadly, I thought about sealing my cedar patio furniture and all the cedar wood I have outside because it's going to be spring. So that's sad.
That's relaxing?
No, I didn't say relaxing. I said if you had a free day.
Oh,
So since I'm so busy and it takes about a day.
Way. I'm like therapeutic. I can get this project done. I have a day. I can clean out that
Closet.
the craft room and like declutter, like where everything goes and you shut the door.
Yes.
Then I can clear that out.
I'm not going to say it won't
again.
involve a Corona 6-pack,
Okay.
but the cedar will be sealed.
Yes.
How about you, Lenai? Anything interesting that you do for a day if you had one?
I think I kind of fall into the same thing, is that I don't know how to slow down. So if I'm not working, then I'm typically like, what else can I pursue? Can I be pursuing different education, or can I get into classes, or let's go for a hike, let's go backpack, like I don't. Even when we go on vacation, we have no idea how to slow down.
No.
It's just go, go, go.
I want to cruise with her, and they had
Yeah.
something crazy planned every day.
Every
I'm like,
day,
I am not
yeah.
hiking that.
Yeah.
I'll be over here at
Sorry.
the restaurant.
We did. We hiked the volcano.
Oh, that sounds like fun for me. I'm similar to that, but then there are times where I do get back to the self-care. Haley, what would be your dream trip? Mine would be a European tour. What would you want to do?
For the longest time, I've always wanted to go to Australia.
Oh, my
I
mother
think
does.
that koalas are adorable. Kangaroos, dangerous as they may be, I still want to look at them. They look fun. And then, I don't know. It's just always been an interesting place for me. And it's also so far, it'd be nice to get
What
there.
about all the spiders?
Yeah, well, let's not talk about that one.
Okay.
Don't remind me. That's why probably I won't go.
Yeah, I've always thought of Australia, but for the reason that you mentioned, I'm
Yeah.
like, there's so many deadly things out there. I have enough to deal with
But
here
if
in
people
America.
live there, they're okay.
And they survive.
Yeah, that's true.
Now let's talk about certifications. In the water profession, these are issued by the state for water and wastewater operators and by CWA for several professions within the water industry. I feel they are important because they demonstrate that a person possesses the knowledge, skills, and ability to perform a certain job at a certain level, and they also provide a sense of accomplishment for all the hard work it takes to attain that level of professional growth. Additionally, they provide your employer with tangible evidence that they have placed qualified personnel in roles that come with tremendous responsibility and that are often heavily regulated at the state and federal level. I agree, we all can agree with that. Personally, I hold a wastewater operator's license grade 2, water treatment license grade 1, a distribution license grade 1 with the state, an environmental compliance inspector grade 4. I personally hold a wastewater operator license grade 2, water treatment license grade 1, and a distribution license grade 1 with the state, an environmental compliance inspector grade 4 certification with CWA, and a qualified industrial stormwater practitioner certificate. My recommendation to others when preparing for a certification exam is to first read the exam preparation material provided by the certification or licensing agency. How many of you do that before you
Oh, yeah.
prepare?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I do a lot of training. It's an amazing thing when I'm trying to train people one-on-one or in a group and they don't even know the book or the exists. So yeah, that definitely to me is one of the first things that is important because it helps you understand what type of information you'll be tested on what reference material that you need to review. And then prepare to study. I love flashcards, putting vocabulary words on them, and important concepts. Is there something that you guys could offer when someone's preparing for an exam, Tonya?
Study.
Yeah.
That's
Isn't
Study.
it crazy that you'd
I
have to
mean-
say that?
A lot of studying, and then if you're in the industry and you're trying to get certifications, trying to tie some of those study material to your everyday life,
Real
like how can you fit that
application,
in, then it really helps you remember it and understand it.
Yeah, I like that you said that because getting the wastewater operator certification, never stepping foot in a wastewater plant or not knowing what a pump and a this and a that is.
Yeah.
That was really tough for me, and having all of the wastewater equipment, processes that, trying to read it on paper and visualize it was hard.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what I did is I went and visited a bunch of wastewater plants.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
how you
And
learn.
I just
Yeah.
said, hey, I'm going to take my exam, and you have a, let's see, what would one be? An MBR, or you have a DAF. Tell me what that looks like, how it works, explain it to me.
Right.
And then I had a visual frame of reference.
Makes a difference.
Yes.
It really does help. Because
And what I would do after that, because I did the same thing,
Oh,
right?
good.
Because it's like, let me go around these wastewater treatment plants and understand better, and then I would draw them out at my desk. So I would be like, okay, from the start of, the influent right here all the way to the effluent, what is the flow of water? What does it look like? So that my brain could visually see it represented as well.
You see it, you hear it, you
don't
write
taste it.
Yeah.
I have
Don't
accidentally
recommend.
a few times, and it's not good.
Oh.
You're sick a little bit. Yeah, working
you
in the
made it
sewer can really be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Drawing it out. It's funny that you say that, because I don't know. I've applied for a wastewater operator OIT and as an operator itself, back at the beginning of my career. And one of the questions that I got that was the hardest to answer, but I knew it, was walk me through the wastewater treatment process. Oh my gosh, there's so much in your head, and trying to lay it all out without having a piece of paper.
Right.
That by the time I get to the second process, I'm just like, oh wait, did I say this? Did I say that?
Yeah, because you have solids that are going here, but you have solids that are going here, and you're like, what?
Yeah. It's cool to see other people thinking of those kinds of things when they're studying. So I did not invent it, right? So it was already something other people are doing. Lenai, what certs do you hold, and which certs would you recommend for certain positions?
So I have a State Water Resources Control Board Water Distribution Operator Grade 2 and a Water Treatment Operator Grade 2. And then with CWA, I have an Environmental Compliance Inspector Grade 2, a Lab Analyst Grade 1, and a Collection Systems Maintenance Grade 1. And none of these are required for my position, but I think that it's really valuable, especially for someone getting into the industry, to pursue those Grade 1s, whether with CWA or State Water Resources Control Board or both, because they don't require any level of formal education or experience other than like a high school diploma. So it's a really good way to get a good basic understanding and also have something to show for it when you're applying for positions and trying to get into the industry.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's almost like the old saying, you're borrowing that certification lets you borrow that, I've got this knowledge behind me now, give me a chance to put that in action.
Right.
You've demonstrated that you're able to understand the concepts and pass the more basics of what the industry or position entails.
Right.
I do like that.
And you're also showing that you have the drive to
Yeah.
pursue these things, that you want to learn and you want to grow and develop. And I think that's something that's incredibly valuable, because you can teach people to do things only if they're willing to learn.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of value in
And
it.
then you want the people that you bring on, for any position to excel and, bring more ideas and better processes to that position. So you want them to be driven and interested in learning and things like that. So if they're, going out there getting certifications that they're not required to get, then that just shows you
They're
how much
motivated.
of a hard worker they are.
They're motivated. And, just a couple points I'd like to say on that is, number one, you never know when a position comes up and you don't have the certification that you could have gotten.
Right.
And I see that a lot, and people are scrambling to get, if I don't pass this exam, I don't get the job.
Yes.
Thinking forward and saying, hey, I'm going to get as much certifications and experience and schooling that I can, so that when that opportunity arises, I'm ready.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
It shows on my certifications. It shows on my resume. It shows in my education. And the other thing I'd like to say about having a lot of certifications in the water world, how it comes into play. Lenai, you are a regulator and you report spills, you report different things that have to do with the collection systems. You're reading data that has to do with the laboratory.
Right.
So you're reviewing results, and so those things lend to your job whether required or not.
Yes.
And then myself being a wastewater operator and inspecting industries that have water treatment processes and wastewater treatment processes, I know what they're saying is making sense. I know when they're not doing what they need to do. So it really has made me a more well-rounded professional in my field that you cannot get without hard work in the front,
Yeah.
Yes.
on the front end.
That's for sure.
But it
I
definitely
just-
pays off in
Yeah,
the long
it definitely does. So just to break it up a little bit, if you could take off one duty from your plate, what would it be? And I'm asking this to each of you. And I'll start. Don't be afraid. Nobody get punished by their employer. CWA said they will back us up. The one thing that I would take that I feel is one of the more frustrating things would be filing paperwork. If I had someone to file all my paperwork, I could probably have a few hours, or more a week. Tonya, how about you?
I hate writing reports.
Yes. Same.
If I could just dictate that into something and somebody else
it writes it for
take
you.
that part, that would be awesome.
That's $1 million idea right there.
Yeah.
Well, and it be accurate, right?
Yeah.
Yes, spelling. You have to read what you wrote. Make sure it sounds.
So we would need a
decent.
report writer, an editor, a proofreader,
Photographer.
Yes, because
I
I need
agree.
I need the report. I need the photos. I need all that.
I need it printed.
Yes.
How about you two?
Same. Reports for me, really, it's the busy work that keeps me bogged down. Like, I have several jobs I'm on, every day you have to do a report for each one. And then, but not only do I have to do this report, but I have to do all this research or reach out to other, aspects of the job to get things moving. But it's like I'm over here doing reports, or they're a day late, and then you start to worry, like, I got to get my daily report done. And then I could worry about the larger tasks. So I like focusing on the more, not that dailies aren't important, but the more
Meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes,
of the job,
exactly.
right? Yeah, I agree.
So for me, we actually, the board approved a new position for another regulatory compliance analyst, somebody that would be kind of an entry level to the position. So I am looking forward to kind of offloading some of the tedious
Mundane.
work, right? The stuff that it has to be done for compliance, because we have a ton of data we have to collect and analyze for compliance. But giving them some of that so I can focus more on the high level stuff. Where are we at? What are we doing? How are we getting there? And that's where I want to be more of, and I'm looking forward to that in this coming year.
It sounds like that's a job plug.
That's
So
Yes,
everybody
yes,
keep your eyes
absolutely.
out for a new position
Right,
coming
a
up,
regulatory compliance
especially
analyst.
the people watching this webinar. That's wonderful.
Yes, yeah.
So that's really good to hear. Yeah, I definitely love to write reports, and I don't know why. I do. I did a lot of data entry stuff, a lot of when I was with my other agency and I was doing more of the program management. Did not like putting in the data, but I do like writing the reports and explaining and providing the
Yes.
the layout and
Yeah.
but yeah, they don't pay me enough to just do that. So Haley, what skills and personal attributes do you believe are crucial for success in the water profession?
Being open-minded, definitely you want to listen to your peers, because a lot of them have been around at different experiences, and then you could take that information and apply it to yourself. I do that a lot. Like, we have some brilliant people at our water district, and they have seen a lot of things. And so just daily conversations with them, you'll learn something new every day. Or if you have conflicts on your own project, you can talk with other departments and get through them, and then they have great solutions or just ideas to help you get to those solutions. So being open-minded is a big thing. And then definitely eager to learn. Like, that's huge. There's so much out there. Like, you're never going to be the smartest person in the room, because somebody can always contribute to your knowledge. So I think just being open, eager to learn, and then, there's people everywhere, like, being friendly. And the more personable you are, then the more people are willing to engage with you, or even offer you, or offer you that information, opportunities to make suggestions for you. So
Sharing resources comes to mind when
Huge.
you're talking about what you were saying. Sharing resources, just not being afraid. When you share, others are going to share. When you help, others are going to help.
That's
If you
the
keep
truth.
yourself closed off, other people are going to close you off.
Yeah.
So being open and willing to step in and help others, share in someone's struggle if you see them struggling, and offer them assistance, because then the next time around when you're in that spot, they're going to come around. I really like that. That was a really good comment. Tonya, it's talking about our average work week. We've talked a little bit about our struggles every day and everything, and how that goes for us, balancing work life. What does an average week look like for you?
Average week. Okay. Monday's always hectic. Just always. This
Same on
craziness
Tuesday.
happens on Friday, always. I have several projects going, so, you just checking in, doing what you got to do on
hope
Monday.
for the best.
Yeah, make
Monday's
sure your
always that
timesheet
day.
is done because you didn't do it on
The
Friday.
most
because you was
important
busy.
part of our week is the timesheet.
Yeah, no.
Agreed,
It's a
agreed.
curse word in our office. Time card day.
I don't know about you guys, but mine takes forever.
2.5 hours every
Really?
2
See,
weeks.
I thought I was the only one with that. You know, I got
Is
the
that because you have
engineers.
to
Every
delegate it to a
project.
project?
Yes, every hour, and then we
wow.
touch 5 to 7 a day.
Yep.
So each
Wow.
one you have to account for.
And
So
then-
do you have to put a timekeeping for your timekeeping?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
I keep notebooks. I
So
keep
2
notebooks.
hours timekeeping
Yep.
is what I'm hearing. Oh,
Pretty
I mean,
much.
see, girl, I feel you. I
Yes.
understand you.
We're on the same page here. I'm like, same
know?
struggles. It has not changed.
Yeah.
Well, I would not be able to do it. I can't even clock in and clock out. So thank goodness we don't have time cards.
I know.
But yeah, that is a struggle. And I always wait to the very last minute to do mine, and it takes 10 or 15.
Yes.
So I feel
Oh,
really
God,
bad.
10 or 15 minutes.
Right, mine is short too.
They
It's more
say
for
it.
water and wastewater.
Yeah, they're like, if you did it every day, it wouldn't take so long. I'm like, that's still 15 to 20 minutes per day.
Takes me to
That'll
stop
be
to
2.5
do
hours
it.
at the end of the week.
It's like,
so.
remember, I'm the one complaining about not having enough time to do reports. So how am I going to do that time?
Time sheet. Wait, I'm
Okay,
supposed to
so
be outside.
on top of someone doing your reporting, you need someone to do your timekeeping.
Yes.
Ah,
We
there
need
you go.
assistance,
Yes.
is what I'm
I know.
hearing.
Yes.
Common-
Yes, we do.
Inspector,
Oh,
yes.
that is awesome. In a perfect world, right?
Yes.
Alrighty, so Lenai, in what ways have regulations impacted the water profession, and how do you see them shaping the future of the industry?
So everything in our profession is impacted by regulations, right? Whether it's your water treatment plant, wastewater treatment, your distribution system, collections, pre-treatment, engineering, construction projects, hazardous waste, hazardous materials, AQMD, I can go on and on,
Yeah.
right? So everything is impacted by regulations. And so I feel like it's really important, especially, kind of going back to people trying to get into the industry, for them to have like a good, at least base knowledge of regulations in the industry. One way that I found really helped me when I was trying to get up to speed was getting on, well, let me preface this, right? So there's different layers of regulations. You have the federal government, right, which affects everyone nationwide. You have state regulations, city, county, and so on and so forth. So I found it was really helpful to start with like the federal regulations. Those are your overarching ones. The EPA has a ton of information, and they have these little like training modules that you can go on and do. Like 15 to 20 minutes to do them. They're not very extensive. They give you a little certificate at the end. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But it's a great way, I think, to kind of get a good understanding, a basic understanding of the regulations. Because
Yeah.
getting into it, it's going to be important to understand them.
And it's just stuff that you don't want to read through, and
Yeah.
it's very hard to discern sometimes.
Right.
So it can be difficult, but
Right.
I think once you kind of get it in your head right, then it's easy to apply and,
Yes.
and understand other regulations. It's just getting that mindset.
And I think because you asked shaping the future of the industry, and so we have really hot topics right now, like PFAS, right? Or
yeah.
the lead service line inventory or replacements that the federal government says, we want to get rid of all lead service lines, so start with this process and we're going to get rid of them in a certain amount of time. So I think as, again, somebody new getting into the industry, if you try to at least have a general knowledge of those hot topics, you can bring those up in your interviews. And you're also showing, hey, I'm interested in what's going on out there.
Yeah.
I'm paying attention, and I want to be involved as we move forward.
That's a good point. Preparing for an interview, that could be
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole other webinar, but
Right.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, as you're trying to enter into a field that you haven't been in before, definitely familiarizing yourselves with the hot topics. I don't know if you
Yes.
can
Make a
Google it. What are the hot topics of this?
Right.
But I had an experience not too far back where sometimes we do interviews just to keep our skills sharpened. And I was put in a position where I'm like, I don't know SB 1383. I don't do it. But I had to quickly get up to speed on
Yeah,
that.
with the organics
Yeah, the
diversion, yep.
organics state assembly bill. But, I wasn't comfortable when I spoke about it in the interviews, and it shows.
Right.
So sometimes we've just got to practice and kind of get those things, saying it out loud, and getting ourselves familiarized with the language and things
Yeah.
like that. So that's a really good point. I like that. Winding down, what advice would each of you have for newcomers? What would you want to let someone know who's wanting to get in the water industry? And I think we just kind of touched a little bit on, interviews. We can talk forever on that. But Tonya, is there something that specific that you might be able to offer?
For someone getting in, just come in with an open mind. Whether you're skilled or not, there's always seems like there's a place for you if that's what you want to do. If that's where you want to be,
Right.
there's so many different levels, so many different layers to this industry. if you want a job, you can find a space, and you'll find out what you're good at. Then you'll pursue your education in that, and then go for it.
Oh, I love that.
Just don't be scared. Go for it.
I love that. One of the things I was talking to a fellow CWA member about who was getting into our field, similar to you, coming from an admin position, getting into environmental compliance. And one of their fears or anxieties was that they don't have experience. And my comment to that was, sometimes employers are looking for that.
Yes.
Sometimes
That's
employers are looking for someone that they can mold and develop into the way their organization does things. No baggage, not that any of us have any here, but no baggage, no past frame of reference. So they're basically a blank slate. So if you are a lesser experienced person applying for a job, let your personality show that you're willing to do what it takes to learn. You are adventurous, you are eager, and giving those kind of feedback during an interview and being someone who's interviewed people like this, it really sticks in their memory that although you may lack in a certain area, you have what it takes to just get it done, get in there, learn, and grow. Anything from you ladies that comes to mind?
Just, aside from the benefits and the great career that a water district or the water industry can provide you, the ability to excel your career. So once you get in and you kind of figure out what interests you, if you want to move around the water district, it's easy.
Yeah, it really is.
You could do this. You could do training on the side for another department on your own time if you want to learn that, and then obviously that'll prepare you when another position opens up. You've been doing this, in-house training, and then you're almost a shoo-in at that point because you're in the district, you know the people, you're learning their processes. Exactly. So it's a good place to start and then be able to move up and build your career from there.
It's really good advice. Lenai, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
So I want to preface this by saying why this is the best piece of advice. When I first started in the industry, I knew nothing about the industry, right? And you feel like you're surrounded by people that are so smart. They're so knowledgeable, so self-assured, and it's incredibly intimidating. Like, you don't want to speak up because you don't want to look stupid. You don't want to look like, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to be here, And then I had heard this piece of advice that said, one day you will look back and be glad that you didn't let fear stop you from taking chances.
Yes.
And I thought that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm so scared to look stupid that I'm not taking chances, and I'm really just hurting myself by doing that. And so then I started taking chances. I started speaking up more. I started putting myself in situations that were a bit scary. And I saw really positive results from that. I saw, first of all, that the people that are really smart and knowledgeable, like you mentioned, are actually really excited to help teach you and share their knowledge with you, which is, I never would have got without putting myself out there to ask for it. And then also by speaking up and letting people know who you are, they find out what you're capable of. Like you kind of mentioned, it's like if you're an open person, you get more of that open feedback back, right? You get that support and that growth together. But if you're so scared to say anything, people don't know who you are. They don't know if you want to grow. They don't know anything about you. So I think that for me was really valuable advice in a way. It's like, I don't want to look back and be scared that I didn't do it.
And sometimes when you get advice like that, you don't even know what you're hearing at the time.
Yeah.
Some people are telling you things all day long, especially when you're growing, this and that and this and that. And back to my Oprah Winfrey story, there's things I think about to this day, that were said in those shows that stuck with me through forever. And somebody will say something, and then later on you'll catch it and you'll get it, and it will really make an impression on you. And when we talk about being in a leadership role, we also have to understand that we are mentors. We are women that are mentors to these women coming into our field. And it's important that we take that time with someone, but that person has to look open and willing and receptive.
Right.
Because you can take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So it really, and so if you're listening to this webinar, which you are, because you're hearing it, that was kind of silly. But understand that you as a person coming into this field, you control your destiny. You have all the control. So you need to take the reins, you need to be open, you need to have drive, you need to be busy, and you need to get going.
You're the person most invested in your own career.
Yes.
Nobody else is in as invested as you are.
And it is a lot of work, but it's also super fun.
Yeah.
So you get to meet a lot of great people, and then just part of the career building, and then you're just excited to think like, oh, I stepped out of my comfort zone, and now I'm this, and you've really completely changed your whole life around.
Yeah.
I have a story that I've said before, if anybody's been in any of my presentations, where I give so much to CWA because I was so nervous. I was the Pre-Treatment Pollution Prevention Committee member very early in my career. Like, I only had 6 months in, didn't know anything about what I was doing on my job, and now I'm being asked to help lead committee meetings and develop conferences and trainings, and I was so afraid I couldn't even speak on the speaker for a phone call for a meeting. So just pushing the button to talk, I would practice, and then I'd be like, okay, so I'm going to say it this way and that way, and oh, I'm so nervous, and then I couldn't even speak on a conference call. I was that nervous, and here I am 12 years later leading a webinar with some wonderful women in our industry that are strong, independent, and someone to look up to, and I really thank all of you for being here today. In closing, we talked a lot today, and we probably touched on almost everything. But knowing that this is the end of our time together, what is the one thing you wish people knew about the water industry? And Tonya, we'll start with you.
Just how large it is.
Good.
How your path can take you to so many different places within this one, kind of organization. Just don't be scared. Take a chance.
I love that.
There's opportunity everywhere.
Yeah.
And like she said, the water industry is huge. Just our district alone, I've been there over 8 years now, and I'm still learning processes and positions and things that we do. Like, it's never ending. So there's so much that you could be in the water industry.
Yeah, I have the same thing, right? So there's so much more to it than I think people realize. There's mechanical, physical, biological, chemical. You've got finance. You've got inspectors. You've got so many facets to it that almost any career field that you might be pursuing, you can find a spot in the industry. So there's a lot here, and it's such a great industry, right? We're performing an essential public service. We're focusing on public health. Like, we're making a difference in what we do, and I think there's a lot of value in that as well.
Yeah, that's a wonderful legacy to have, being in the water world, and it also is, something to look for your family, your children to look at you and admire. So it is definitely a very responsible job to have, and we hope that some of you watching this webinar really hear what we're saying and take some of our advice. I want to thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to meeting some of you. Hopefully you'll stop me and let me know that you've seen this, or let us know that you've seen our webinar, and maybe let us know how it might have impacted you, because that's definitely really rewarding for us as we try to share as much as we can to help those coming into our world. So good luck on your career path, and thank you very much.
That's cool. Shannon, is there a question that you wanted to start with, or want us to take?
There was a couple of really good ones. Let me scroll now. I had to change devices, so I think Gilbert had asked one. So it's not on here for me. I'm not sure why. Maybe because I wasn't on the call the whole time.
No worries, I've got it. So Gilbert Barella, CWA president, was asking, what can men do to assist in changing our male-dominated industry to make it more inclusive?
Yeah, I thought that was a great and insightful question for people thinking forward. Sometimes we don't realize how women are impacted coming into this industry. And I think that we had a couple of really good comments during the interview about just promoting those women into positions so that it actually can be realized for those that are trying to get into the field. Just offering the same opportunities to everyone, of course, but when we start to see women in those roles, that really helps out a lot. Encouraging professional advancement, and offering guidance and mentorship is great. I think some of my I've had many mentors, but I've had a few very strong male mentors who I was able to reach out to and, talk about career path or ways to develop myself to be more marketable in the employment field. So I feel like being a good mentor is a really great way to build that bridge and make a difference for somebody who's really might be struggling behind the scenes.
Great. Let's see here. One of the next one is from Mar F. She's interested in lab analysts or other type of technical scientific positions. Do certifications cross county or state lines?
So this is Shannon. I know that our certifications through CWA, it is a statewide organization. So county lines would not be an issue. And as it pertains to out of state, I don't know if anybody's honoring certifications from CWA out of state. Alec might have some insight on that.
Yeah, in the certification webpage, we have some reciprocity. Michigan, Hawaii, it's a little bit odd. There are a couple, certifications are a world unto themselves. So what I would say is explore the career path that you're interested in, and you're going to want to get one certification. Lab analyst certification from either CWA or Cal Nevada is a great way to get started in the lab world. Like they were saying in the panel, it shows you're willing to put in the work and you have all this knowledge. So you get the stamp of approval, basically, earning those certifications. Some that Lenai mentioned are, distribution. That too proves you are ready, willing, and able to get that certification, and distribution openings are everywhere. Another relatively straightforward is backflow and cross connection. So again, if you Google for those, keep exploring the career paths. And then once you sort of get an angle going, get those certifications, because then it just goes on from there. There is a wastewater operator certification from a national certifying body, but California does not participate in that program. California wastewater and drinking water certifications are only applicable here in California, and they don't accept anyone outside. So it depends with certifications.
And another thing that I've seen across the board with wastewater, environmental, I think Katie Greenwood was one that came from Texas to California. And one of my old managers came from out of state to California. If they don't take the actual certification, they do take the experience, as long as it qualifies. So if let's say you're a grade 3 in California as a wastewater operator, you go to another state. There are states that do recognize California certifications, or especially because we're so good with our certification programs out here. But that experience that you might need to take the grade 3 in another state, those qualifications may already have been met. So if reciprocity is not there, experience will definitely help get you into testing for the grade, a higher level grade as you can.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see if we have, so this was a good question you answered in the chat, Shannon. Would a failing a certification grade 1 exam be a mark against you at all?
Yeah, so your test scores are your information. So employers don't have access to that. So trying to take an exam and maybe not making it the first time doesn't mean that you've failed. It just means that you need to study more and retake it. It doesn't have any impact on prospective employment. I know that there are positions that are, that do require a certain grade level, and maybe you didn't pass that exam, whether you tell them or not, or just retry and pass the next time around and then let them know you passed. That would be up to you, but it's definitely your information. So that's not shared with employers or prospective employers.
Absolutely. Never a failure, just a learning opportunity and a chance to improve. I think it's important everyone knows that you are allowed to take the exam again and again. There are some windows that I'm going to get into here in a moment, but also know in our industry that these exams are challenging, and they're made to be challenging because you have life and health and safety in your hands as a water operator or a construction inspector. Things, we don't want things falling down or bad water. So these exams are purposely made challenging. And so that's why it's such a great honor when you get them. Please know that the pass rates are only about 75% for CWA exams, somewhere in there. And for the state water and wastewater operator exams, they are in the 30 to 50%. And so that's why many people take these exams a couple of times. So it's not a setback, it's not a failure at all. If the exam doesn't go well, regroup, keep studying, you'll get it. You just got to keep trying. So Shannon, that brings us to a good one with Mar, the certification steps. And I can do this one really quick. Shannon, Haley, Tonya, jump in here if you have advice on getting these certification steps. So Mar, number one is the certification body. There's the State Water Board or CWA or Cal Nevada AWWA. So find the certifying body. Number two is to download their handbook. So the state has a guide on getting wastewater operator certification or drinking water. CWA has a handbook on the laboratory analyst or collection systems or maintenance. And then read that handbook because it provides all of this information. There are minimum qualifications they were talking about. You can use your education. In fact, that is part of the minimum qualifications for these exams. So you have your bachelor's degree, you're going to get a certain number of points. That'll qualify you for a grade 1, maybe even a grade 2. Then you apply. Exams work in windows, so you need to plan ahead and apply at the right moment for those exam windows. You'll then be approved once they review your experience and your education and give you the credits. You'll be approved to take the exam. You're going to take it at a computer testing exam. Those can be very intimidating, but again, don't be intimidating. Watch the videos from Person View or the State Water Board about computerized testing. It is a place to, understand that they're not there to be intimidating, but just to help you take a clean, professional exam quickly. Your results are instantaneous on that computer. It'll even tell you the areas that you need to study if you don't pass. So those computerized exams can be very helpful. The state takes a little longer to, it's not instantaneous. They're going to send you a report in a few weeks. And then it's just paperwork, as Haley and Tonya said, it's reports.
Yeah. Yes.
I also want to say is when you're talking about paths to certification, look to the certifying agency, like Alec was saying. There'll be training opportunities that you'll be able to seek out to help prepare yourself for the exam. Look for ways to get some additional training and seeking out those mentors in the field that you're looking to enter. I think we had one question talked about, is there wastewater tours or something available, which reminds me about when I was studying for my wastewater operator exam. One of the ways, I was studying the book, I was doing everything that I needed to do it in college, but it was really hard to visualize what was being, what was in writing. And so one of the things that I took upon myself to do was to go to those agencies and ask if I can have a tour of the plant so that I could put a visual aspect to whatever it was I was reading in my books, treatment processes. And that would hold the same for, inspectors or water treatment. But, not just what they're saying to do on that certification handbook or whatever other documents they might have to help you out. But, take that initiative to invest in yourself and give yourself the best opportunity for success by reaching out to those in the industry. And usually you'll find that people love to talk about themselves, and they love to help others. You know, we're made up, a lot of these organizations are made up of a lot of volunteers that donate their time just so that we can bring in the next generation of operators and inspectors and things like that.
Absolutely. We're very friendly. Never fear to ask us questions or talk to us. So Shannon, I'll just go in order, jump in if you have another question you want to start with, but the next one is from Ronnie. And she asks, I'm a mature woman in the tech and corporate field looking to change careers. Are there any age restrictions in our industry? Are there recruiting events? What internships should she look for?
So this is Shannon again. I'm a mature woman as well. I did not get into the water field until I was 38. So that's just school. So I started off just going to school, taking classes, getting certifications. By the time I first had my first actual paying job, I was 40. And so now here I am 12 years later, 13 years later, and I have a wonderful career. And I have many years ahead of me of work. And I'm just as valuable as the next person, regardless of age. So there's really not any age restrictions. It's more of your physical ability, you know, to meet the job description, your education requirements, your experience, whatever that job description is asking of you, and also any, you know, legalities of being too young to work. But it's really encouraging when I hear people making a career change later in life, because I know how scary that is. I had to stop my life for 2 years and not make any money while I prepared myself for this next chapter, which isn't always everyone's path. But you know, a lot goes into that when you're a little bit older. So I encourage that and really excited to hear that.
Haley or Tonya, any suggestions for career switching?
I would do it. Before I got to the water district, I was working property management. I was always like administrative assistant. I worked in a stone and tile shop before, so I had zero experience coming to the water industry. But I started at the engineering department, kind of like a administrative assistant for the inspectors inspection phase of development. So I on the job learning. So I learned all processes, procedures, and things like that. And then that's how I ended up getting the inspector position, because I just absorbed so much information from the job that I was doing supporting my current role. So definitely is you get into a position, you start to learn the things that you're interested in, and then you kind of drift into that and move up. So I would definitely suggest a career change. If you're not happy, there's never a time limit on that. But also
Absolutely, just go for it.
Yeah. I wanted to touch on some of her other questions. Recruiting events. I don't know if any the district does. My district does. I do know they go to like schools and stuff to generate interest from the kids graduating, but not really recruiting events. You can always look online for job postings. They're always posted. They usually open for a couple weeks to a couple months, depending on how popular that particular role is. But yeah, there's definitely opportunities out there. And then, like I said in the discussion, if you're interested in getting into water, you can get in at any level, any type of position, something that maybe you have experience in, and then start working your way around the district, and you could become a water operator or something.
Don't let age affect you and limit you really in this business, because I guess I am a woman of, that age now. So I mean, a lot of inspectors from a lot of jurisdictions, this is one industry where you can work and you can retire and you come back in a different sector. And most of the people I meet, everybody is 50, 60, some older than that. And it just keeps you active, keeps you moving, keeps you sharp, because you're outside, you constantly thinking things are changing. Just don't be afraid. just make the switch. If you even considered it, just go for it.
Love it. Love it. And I think we should tie things together. Find your local water, wastewater community services district. They can be a little challenging to find, but you are served by these districts, and so they are around you, water wholesalers. And take a tour, as everyone's been encouraging, and talk to HR or the public affairs. As Haley said, there are tons of internships, more apprenticeships. The industry is really trying to make more openings. So find your local district is a key. Shannon, the next question is anonymous, and they'd like to talk a little bit about the time you've overcome a toxic workplace environment.
Oh my gosh, we work every day. We spend most of our time at our jobs. So, work environments change, and we all want to enjoy every day and like all the people we work with, but we don't, and it doesn't always happen. And I, just like many others, have been involved in some toxic work situations, and the answer is not the same for each one. But I think one of the valuable things I've learned going through a few stressful ones recently is just to maintain your composure and know your worth, know your rights as an employee, know your job description. That right there will give you that power to make the necessary changes or moves or conversations that you might need to have, just depending on what that situation might be. And a lot of times going and facing it head on with that person in a safe environment sometimes can really resolve some issues that a person may really not have understood was there. I've had an instance where there was a new person coming into a workplace, both lateral positions we were in. We weren't, one above the other, but the way I said something or would ask things or do things might have rubbed that person a different way, or their interpretation of what I was saying or doing might not have been quite what I thought I was projecting. So we had a little bit of a struggle just because each of us were taking each other's personalities and comments the wrong way. It wasn't even intentional. And so being in a safe environment, I chose to, let it out there a little bit and just say, hey, I'm feeling this or that. I just want to make sure that you realize I respect you, your position, your role. I look forward to working with you, and just kind of finding ways to effectively communicate, to build a bridge, or to overcome, these invisible obstacles that we put sometimes just because we really don't know each other that well, even though we're around each other a lot. So, I found that to be really helpful. Just speaking with individuals or speaking with management to express, hey, this is where I'm at and what's going on. I've even gotten to situations where I've gone into management and asked, what is my growth potential? What is, just different things to help me gauge, is this the place I really want to be at? Because there might be a situation where that toxic environment is not fixable. And you may have to make a decision that it means a change in your employer. So, don't let something like that change who you are. Don't let it bring you down to the point where you're not yourself or doing something at work that is going to get you in trouble. And just evaluate, is it safe for you mentally to still be there? Is it going to further your career to stay or go? And, those are different decisions that are made based on the situation, but don't feel like you're alone, because, we deal with lots of different personalities, people, and culture. And, these types of situations come up here and there.
Great advice, Shannon. Next is from Wendy, and Wendy's asking, what is your approach to collecting CEUs, the famous CEUs and contact hours?
I mean, me being very heavily involved in the CWA organization as a volunteer and going to lots of events, I love getting my CEUs. It's wonderful opportunities out there. I would look to your certifying organization websites, leadership, get on, I don't want to speak to just CWA because this is a across the board certifying agency type of webinar. So it's not just through CWA that you get CEUs, but training events are held all the time by our certifying organizations because part of their mission, goals, visions is to educate, those people that they're certifying, continuing their professional growth. So I would really look to your certifying agency and just explore their website and see if they've got subcommittees. I can speak for like the CWA environmental compliance inspector type of certification. They have a subcommittee. There's local section subcommittees that handle different regions of California. And then there's also annual conferences and workshops. So there's so much out there, but until you click on that website and investigate or sign yourself up for a mailing list, you may not be getting those notifications. So there's so much out there. It's amazing.
Haley, did you hold the distribution certification, or is that Lenai?
I have distribution, treatment, backflow. Yes.
So you need to collect.
I do CEUs. So I do a lot of the conferences. I do Tri-State every other year, which is a huge one. California, Nevada, Arizona. Everybody in the water industry goes out to, there's a location in Las Vegas that they host a really big conference, and there is a ton of information. There's so many different tracks of classes that you could take and learn what everyone's doing out there, the latest and greatest technologies. And then it's also a huge networking event, so that's super helpful, especially for you can meet people from other agencies, different states, ask questions, check on position openings, things like that. So I'm really big into networking. So I definitely encourage people to attend conferences for those CEUs, because you get the great classes and the material that's provided there, and then the networking.
Yeah, I have the honor of sitting on the Tri-State Committee, and Haley, they're always recruiting. But Haley, as she said, Tri-State is one of our biggest. We're talking 3,500 water, wastewater professionals from California, Arizona, and Nevada. All, and like the classrooms have 150 people in them. So Tri-State is a wonderful training opportunity to use. Let's see, the next one is what CWA certification? And yes, absolutely. Let's open up to any certification would this panel recommend for an admin position to better understand the industry?
So, there's a lot of certifications out there that do not require any education, any experience or anything. So grade 1 certification. So let's say you work at a wastewater plant and you're an admin for the wastewater plant, or I don't know if wastewater is, I think you might have to have some science units before you take it. But other than that one, a lot of them are no experience, no education. So I would recommend looking at what it is that you are, what industry that you're in, what it's relating to you as your admin position, and look to study for that exam and maybe even take it. Because the study material that you would use to get the certification is going to provide you a lot of information about the field that you might be adminning for. And I've also seen a lot of admin staff transfer their careers over to operators or inspectors. So it may open up a whole new world for you. But at one of the last agencies I was working with, we had admin designated to water. We had admin designated to distribution, admin designated to wastewater. And yeah, some of it gets really interesting when you don't understand the terminology. the equipment, the process, as you're doing your administrative work for them. So that's one way of really kind of diving into what it is it's all about and gaining some knowledge.
Great. How about a certification you recommend for someone who wants to pivot, change careers from the tech data analyst background? What should a tech data analyst go into?
I can, over in our operations department, I do know that the operations admins, they do a lot of data entry, helping gather the information from operations departments, asset management, things like that. So there are admin positions that are like, customer service or receptionist, things like that, and data analysts, things like that, that you could apply for. And then, like I said, move around. Once you get into the admin area, then you could work on certs and build your way up from there.
Yeah, and I see a lot of data analysts in the environmental side for reporting. And so I know environmental compliance certification with CWA does have some regulatory elements to it. A lot of regulatory positions are environmental compliance, but there's also AQD and other agencies that have, other regulatory agencies out there that govern the water world. But environmental compliance might be one to look towards if you're talking about data analyst.
Yeah, actually, I think there's even one going to be opening here at Elsinore Valley soon. It's going to be under Lenai's position. I believe it's going to be an environmental compliance analyst. So look for that job posting.
That's right, yes. And I was thinking of her when this question was asked because, yeah, definitely heavy on the data and on the local side.
Yeah, I'll throw out one more because there are over 200 career paths, or that's what we tell ourselves. There's something called There's a lot. There's something called GIS, and Esri, founded in Redlands, California, is the leader in GIS, geographical information, and our industry is latched on to GIS for everything, even Tonya in construction. And so GIS skills might fit a data analyst pretty well, and it's pretty easy to get that training and certifications. Yeah, and those jobs are everywhere. Let's see. So we're to our last two questions. We got one more. Rachel, I might be able to help you. So what about someone who's hesitant to go get a certification because it might become unnecessary? And they are expensive. I fully understand that. I would say that as a certifying body, they don't mean to make them expensive, but it is extremely expensive to run these programs. We have experts, we have writing exams, the computer testing center. There are full batches of staff assigned to it. So this is an issue in our industry. But no, once you get your certification, your agency is going to take care of almost everything.
But if you're not with an agency yet and you're trying to work your way towards that and you want to obtain some certifications, look to positions that you might be interested in or have a little experience in, and then look and see what certifications are required for that position or the top level. You are spending the money, then it's working towards a goal, and you're not just getting the easy, level ones that you might not ever need. They'll be helpful, but if you're worried about spending the money, then just try to keep it, in line with what your goal is. And then once you get into an agency, then you can get all the certifications you want because they'll pay for it.
Yeah, and I find that certifications are like borrowing experience, right? You're you're very inexperienced in the workforce, but you've demonstrated that you have the knowledge, skills, and ability to perform the job through a certification. So you get money for Christmas, for your birthday. Sometimes the investment in yourself, although it be hard when we are starting out or, tight on money, I don't know if I would be where I'm at today had I not really tightened my belt and decided that I'm worth it. I'm worth the investment. I'm going to go forward and get these certifications because I know that at the end of the day, it's going to make me more marketable in the workforce. I'm going to have more knowledge. I'm going to be able to offer my employer more, and I'm going to be able to grow. And I absolutely guarantee you that is what happened to me. And I'm so grateful that I made that decision to work on myself. Maybe I bought less clothes and went out to dinner more, or, maybe I borrowed money from my grandma, whatever it is that your situation is, it's hard to just tell someone, yeah, just spend the money. But, there are times and situations where that's really, really hard. But, investing in yourself now as you're trying to get into the field is going to make you more marketable as you're sitting across that employer during an interview.
And don't wait till the job posting, because by the time you start researching and getting, testing scheduled and getting certifications, that job posting is going to be closed. So if you're interested in something, then start working towards it now so you're ready when that job posting comes up.
One thing we didn't talk too much about that I was just thinking about is the Office of Operator Certification at Cal State Sacramento. Am I saying it wrong, Alec?
Yeah, Sacramento State. Yeah, Cal State Sacramento. Mm-hmm.
They've got a lot of programs that are like $55 to $100. It's not a certification, but it gives you a book and you do tests and you send them in, and they give you a certificate of completion, which is also another way to beef up your resume. So they have it for lots of different applications. I haven't done it in a while, but I went through the courses through wastewater distribution, water treatment, and MBR, when MBR, membrane bioreactor, started to come out on the scene. And I added those all to my resume, and it was $55 or so at the time. I'm sure it's more now, but all these little tiny things add to my knowledge bank and add to my resume.
Yeah, I just dropped that link to the Office of Water Programs, distance learning type classes. Almost everybody in our industry takes these. Well, we're at time, panel. I would also add with certifications, they're like Pokemon. Everybody collects them all, as you heard from Haley and Lenai. They have a lot. I know a general manager at Jurupa, actually. I'm thinking of Chander, Tonya, and I think he has 13 certifications or more. So they will benefit you. I know it can be nerve-wracking, but as Haley said, try to narrow in on your career path and then just start collecting them. The hiring panel will love to see that. Tonya, any last encouragements or ideas on certifications or get people going?
Just encourage you all to just do some research and come and join us. We need lots and lots of more women out here, all ages, just everybody. Just come join us. It's a good thing, and it's a good place to.
Awesome. Oh, that's a great note to end on. Shannon, Haley, anything else to add?
I can add a couple just because we just did we did a podcast recording here at our district. Our construction maintenance superintendent, he has his own podcast that's geared towards water industry professionals. So that's a good way to get information and kind of figure out what you want to do, is listen to podcasts about water professionals. So you can start whatever starts to get a spark in you, and then maybe start researching that way. Because I know, just going online and trying to research for yourself, that could be, very daunting because you don't know where to go. Like, still sometimes I'm trying to find information. I'm like, okay, where do I start? And I go talk to somebody in the office. So how did you do this? But so podcast could be a good way to start to figure out where you want to go in the industry. But yeah, just do it. if you have any interest in the water industry, I highly suggest it. It's a great place to work, great organization, and so this has an essential source of life.
I think the only thing that I could add, because there's been so much good feedback, comments, and questions, is just to reiterate how important having some mentors in your life, especially coming new into an industry. I know CWA has a great mentorship program where they match up mentors and mentees. I'm certain that there's other certified agencies that have that out there. But if you look to someone that you can trust and that is in the field that you're looking towards getting into or in a related field, and being able to bend their ear or have some regular conversations with them for advice and on your career path and things like that, that really does help, because a lot of times people in our family and our friend groups, they may not be going through the same type of career situation as you are. So look to the source. Mentorship is really valuable. And that's probably the best recommendation I can leave everyone with.
Thank you so much, Haley, Tonya, Shannon. This, as everyone said, this was super inspiring, super helpful. Our next water career info session is next week, May 22nd, with Ramel, Sean, and Gary. So we'll keep answering questions. Thanks, everybody. Bye.